I think he'll change. He is committed of his own level of service, and
privileged to bear during so much of my life and duty.
Queen for a very long time. And although you kind of know that this might happen.
State banquets are designed to project unity, prestige, and royal tradition. But what happens when one of the monarchy's most respected figures is accused of drawing a line that cannot be ignored? Reports of Princess Anne allegedly excluding members of Queen Camilla's family from a high-profile state event have sparked intense speculation about tensions behind palace walls. So, was this a matter of protocol, a calculated message, or evidence of a deeper divide within the royal household? The answers could reveal a side of royal life the public was never meant to see. Do you think Princess Anne was protecting the monarchy or sending a personal message? Share your thoughts in the comments below. To help us create more videos and uncover the latest royal drama, please subscribe. The illusion of power. To truly grasp why this moment sent shockwaves through royal circles, it is important to understand the world Queen Camilla believed she had built around herself. For years, it appeared that every obstacle placed in her path had eventually fallen away. The criticism that once followed her everywhere had gradually faded. The resistance from traditional royal insiders seemed to weaken with time. Even memories of old scandals no longer dominated public conversations the way they once had. Camilla's journey to the throne was not quick or easy. It was a slow climb that stretched across decades, requiring patience, resilience, and an ability to endure intense public scrutiny. Many believe that after surviving so much turmoil, she had finally secured an unshakable position within the monarchy. From the outside, it looked as though she had achieved what few thought possible. But with every victory came a growing sense of confidence, perhaps too much confidence. As the years passed, Camilla reportedly surrounded herself with trusted allies, familiar advisors, and people whose loyalty she never questioned. The royal environment that had once seemed cold and unwelcoming appeared to become increasingly comfortable and predictable. Major state events no longer felt like uncertain occasions to navigate carefully. Instead, they may have begun to feel like spaces where her preferences naturally carried weight. The danger with winning one difficult battle after another is that survival can start to look like complete control. Endurance can easily be mistaken for unquestioned authority. According to royal commentators, this may have been where the real miscalculation occurred. Camilla allegedly began operating under the assumption that the institution had fully adjusted to her presence, and that opposition, if it still existed, lacked either the courage or the influence to challenge her. The machinery of the monarchy, built upon centuries of tradition and hierarchy, may have seemed firmly aligned with her interests. Perhaps she believed that those born into the royal bloodline had accepted the new reality. Perhaps she assumed they would avoid confrontation out of loyalty to King Charles or a desire to preserve family unity. Quiet decisions made behind palace walls may have appeared too insignificant to provoke resistance. Yet royal history has repeatedly shown that silence should never be mistaken for surrender. Beneath polished smiles and carefully staged public appearances, old loyalties often remain intact. The monarchy has always been an institution where influence shifts quietly, where power can change hands without warning, and where those underestimated are sometimes the ones capable of altering everything. And that brings us to the actual incident, the moment that reportedly shattered expectations and exposed tensions few imagined still existed. What happened behind palace doors that left observers questioning who truly holds power within the royal family? Stay glued to your screen, because the answer may be far more astonishing than anyone anticipated. The Banquet Showdown. The controversy that would soon send shockwaves through palace circles reportedly began behind closed doors, hidden beneath the glittering preparations for one of the monarchy's most important diplomatic occasions. To the public, a state banquet may look like little more than an elegant evening filled with fine dining, sparkling chandeliers, and carefully rehearsed smiles. But inside royal walls, it is something far more serious. Every name on the guest list carries meaning. Every seat placement reflects status, influence, and diplomatic respect. Who sits beside a head of state, who gains access to private conversations, and who finds themselves within the monarch's immediate circle are decisions governed by long-established protocols. In this environment, even the smallest adjustment can carry enormous consequences. It was during these preparations that Queen Camilla was allegedly presented with what appeared to be a unique opportunity. Fully aware that the authority attached to her position is tied directly to King Charles's reign, reports suggest she sought to secure something more lasting for those closest to her. Quiet changes were reportedly introduced through official channels, changes that would have placed her son, Tom Parker Bowles, among the most powerful figures attending the banquet. On paper, it could easily have been dismissed as a harmless family accommodation. In reality, critics argue it represented something much more significant. A seat at the sovereign's table offers access that money alone cannot buy. It opens doors to conversations with international leaders, influential business figures, and individuals capable of shaping global opportunities. Had the arrangement passed unnoticed, it might have strengthened the Parker Bowles family's connections long after the current reign had ended. The prestige of the monarchy would, intentionally or otherwise, become a bridge to private advantage. What Camilla may not have anticipated, however, was the involvement of Princess Anne. Unlike many members of the royal family, Anne has built a reputation on discipline, duty, and an unwavering commitment to preserving the institution she was born into. She is known for valuing protocol above popularity and tradition above convenience. To Anne, royal rules exist for a reason. They protect the crown from accusations of favoritism, self-interest, and misuse of influence. When the final hospitality documents reportedly crossed her desk just days before the event, she is said to have spotted the irregularity immediately. What others may have viewed as an innocent adjustment, Anne allegedly interpreted as a dangerous crossing of boundaries. In her eyes, the monarchy's diplomatic platform could not be used to advance private family interests. Yet Anne did not create a public spectacle. There were no heated exchanges in palace corridors, no emotional confrontations, and no anonymous briefings to the media. Instead, she acted with the quiet precision for which she has become known. Using established diplomatic procedures, Anne reportedly authorized a complete revision of the seating arrangements. Tom Parker Bowles' place at the sovereign's table was removed, and he was reassigned elsewhere within the ballroom. Then came the detail that would leave many stunned. The prestigious seat he had supposedly been meant to occupy remained noticeably empty. But when Camilla entered the banquet hall and saw what Anne had done, did she simply accept the decision? Or did this silent royal rebuke ignite a private confrontation few ever expected? Keep watching as we uncover every detail. Camilla's moment of shock. The cameras were rolling. World leaders had taken their seats. Every movement inside the grand ballroom carried meaning, and every detail had been carefully planned long before the guests arrived. As Queen Camilla stepped into the room, she appeared confident, poised, and completely at ease. To the outside world, it looked like another moment of royal authority, another occasion where she stood firmly at the center of power. But appearances can be deceiving. As she approached the sovereign's table, there was likely an expectation that everything would unfold exactly as anticipated. The presence of family members at such prestigious events often sends powerful messages about status, influence, and acceptance within the royal structure. For years, many believed Camilla had successfully secured not only her own position, but also a place of prominence for those closest to her. Then came the shocking reality. Instead of seeing the image she may have expected, she was confronted by an unmistakable absence. The position that would have symbolized recognition and rising influence had vanished from the spotlight. Rather than occupying a place of distinction before the world's media, her son appeared pushed far from the center of attention, surrounded by officials whose roles carried none of the prestige attached to the royal inner circle. In that instant, the glittering ballroom seemed to transform into something else entirely, a carefully arranged reminder of where true authority actually resides. The international press captured every smile, every handshake, every carefully managed interaction. Yet beneath the polished surface, another story appeared to be unfolding. Camilla's glance reportedly shifted toward King Charles, perhaps expecting reassurance or intervention. After all, throughout decades of controversy, criticism, and resistance from parts of the establishment, Charles had remained her strongest ally. Surely many assumed he would step in. But no intervention came. Instead, the king continued engaging with distinguished guests, maintaining the composure expected of a monarch hosting an important diplomatic occasion. There were no hurried discussions, no visible objections, and no disruption to the evening's carefully choreographed proceedings. And that silence spoke volumes. Because this was never simply about seating arrangements at a state banquet. It represented something much larger: the invisible boundaries that exist within the monarchy itself. Personal wishes can only go so far before they collide with the traditions, protocols, and diplomatic responsibilities designed to protect the institution. For years, Charles had demonstrated extraordinary commitment to ensuring Camilla's acceptance within royal life. Yet moments like this suggest that even the closest relationships have limits when measured against the interests of the crown. Perhaps the most unsettling realization was this: influence within the monarchy is powerful only until it threatens the stability of the institution itself. But if Camilla's authority stops at that line, then where does she truly stand within the royal hierarchy? To truly understand why this situation became nearly impossible to escape, we have to look beyond the glittering chandeliers and royal appearances to uncover the harsh pressures and difficult realities that may have shaped Camilla's private world. Keep watching. Inside the Queen Consort's limits, Queen Camilla appears to stand at the very peak of royal life. She attends glittering state banquets, welcomes foreign dignitaries, and wears some of the most valuable jewels in the world. To the public, these images project authority, influence, and permanence. They create the impression of a woman who has finally secured her place at the center of the British monarchy after decades of controversy. But the reality behind palace walls is far more complicated. For all the grandeur associated with the title of Queen Consort, the position carries significant limitations. The power attached to it exists only through the reigning monarch. It is not an independent throne. The institutions that uphold the crown, the palaces, the diplomatic structures, and the long-established channels of royal authority do not belong to the Queen Consort personally. Their loyalty ultimately follows the line of succession, and that distinction changes everything. As King Charles continues his reign, questions about the future of the monarchy have become impossible to ignore. The next chapter belongs to a different generation. The transition toward Prince William and Princess Catherine is no longer a distant possibility. It is an approaching reality that many within royal circles are already preparing for. Against this backdrop, any attempt to strengthen personal family interests through royal connections would naturally attract attention. The prestige of the monarchy opens doors that remain firmly closed to most people. Access to world leaders, influential business figures, and elite social circles carries enormous value. Even a carefully arranged introduction can reshape futures. But royal protocol exists precisely to prevent those opportunities from becoming private advantages. According to commentators, Princess Anne has long understood the dangers of allowing personal relationships to blur institutional boundaries. Throughout her decades of service, she has earned a reputation for placing duty above sentiment and protecting the monarchy from unnecessary complications. To Anne, royal status is not a family reward system. It is a responsibility tied to public service. This is why subtle decisions at state events often carry deeper meanings than outsiders realize. A changed seating arrangement, a missing invitation, a carefully observed protocol. These moments may appear insignificant to the average observer, yet within aristocratic circles, they can signal shifting alliances and unspoken warnings. Palace staff notice, diplomats notice, senior advisors notice, and increasingly, their attention appears focused on the future rather than the present. While Catherine's position strengthens naturally through her role as future queen, she has never needed to force her relatives into the spotlight. Her influence stems from inevitability, not urgency. In contrast, those seeking to establish lasting advantages before the next reign may find the institutional barriers far stronger than anticipated. Because the monarchy has one rule, it rarely compromises on survival always outweighs personal ambition, which leads us to the question that has sparked intense debate behind palace doors. If Princess Anne is determined to preserve those boundaries, just how far is she willing to go to enforce them? What rule exists that could permanently shut that door forever? And why are some insiders convinced Anne has already set that plan into motion? Let's take a look. Princess Anne draws the line. For years, many royal watchers have asked the same question. If Queen Camilla now sits beside King Charles as queen, why haven't her children stepped into official royal roles? The answer reveals one of the monarchy's oldest and strictest realities, and it may explain why Princess Anne has remained one of its fiercest defenders. Unlike the children born directly into the Windsor bloodline, Camilla's son, Tom Parker Bowles, and her daughter, Laura Lopes, entered royal life as adults through their mother's marriage to the king. They were never granted royal titles, never placed in the line of succession, and have never been assigned working royal duties. Despite their proximity to the throne, constitutionally, they remain private citizens. This distinction has become increasingly important as the monarchy navigates a new era under King Charles. While Camilla has worked tirelessly over the years to secure public acceptance and establish herself within the institution, there has always been an invisible boundary that even a queen consort cannot cross. The crown may embrace a spouse, but it does not automatically absorb an entire family into its official structure. Princess Anne, renowned for her unwavering devotion to duty and protocol, has long been viewed as a guardian of these institutional boundaries. Throughout her decades of service, she has consistently placed the preservation of the monarchy above personal sentiment. To Anne, royal status is not a privilege to be distributed through affection or family ties. It is a responsibility defined by constitutional purpose. That reality became especially apparent during King Charles's coronation. Although Camilla's children and grandchildren attended the historic event, their presence remained symbolic rather than official. They participated as family members, supporting their mother, not as representatives of the crown. Meanwhile, senior working royals carried out the ceremonial responsibilities tied to the future of the monarchy. For some observers, this arrangement reflects fairness and respect for tradition. For others, it highlights the difficult position Camilla finds herself in. She may wear the crown, but the influence attached to her role has clear limitations. The future of the monarchy rests firmly with the direct line of succession: Prince William, Princess Catherine, and their children. This is where Princess Anne's reported determination resonates so strongly with royal audiences. The message appears unmistakable. Marrying into the monarchy does not rewrite centuries of constitutional practice. The institution may evolve, but certain lines remain uncrossable. And yet, if the royal hierarchy is so carefully protected, how does the palace decide who stands at the center of power and who remains on the sidelines during its most prestigious events? The answer lies within a world of glittering chandeliers, rigid traditions, and silent signals that can elevate or diminish reputations overnight. Could the placement of a single chair reveal more about the monarchy's true power structure than any royal title ever could? Stay glued to your screen, because what happens behind those palace doors may surprise you. Inside the banquet rules. At first glance, a royal state banquet appears to be nothing more than an evening of dazzling gowns, priceless tiaras, sparkling crystal glasses, and carefully rehearsed smiles. To the public, it is a glamorous celebration of diplomacy and tradition. But behind the magnificent setting of Buckingham Palace lies a world governed by some of the strictest rules in modern society, where every detail is meticulously calculated and every seat at the table carries meaning far beyond dinner itself. In royal circles, a state banquet is not simply a social gathering. It is a carefully orchestrated display of hierarchy, influence, and constitutional order. The placement of every guest is scrutinized. Who enters first, who sits closest to the monarch, who is seated beside foreign leaders, and who occupies the more distant corners of the room are decisions shaped by protocol rather than personal preference. These grand occasions are months in the making. Palace officials work tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure every element reflects Britain's diplomatic priorities. The menu, decorations, music, and even the arrangement of the historic tableware are planned with extraordinary precision. Yet perhaps nothing receives more attention than the seating chart. A seat at the sovereign's table is not merely an invitation to dinner. It represents recognition, trust, and significance within the royal and diplomatic framework. Those positioned nearest to the king and queen often occupy places of immense importance, whether as heads of state, senior royals, or individuals whose presence serves a strategic purpose. In this environment, proximity becomes its own language. This is why royal watchers pay close attention to these events. A seemingly minor adjustment can spark intense speculation. Was someone honored? Was another individual quietly sidelined? In the monarchy, symbolism matters. The institution has long relied on subtle gestures, rather than public declarations, to communicate shifts in priority and influence. For members of the royal family, navigating these occasions requires an understanding that personal relationships often take a back seat to duty. Friendships, preferences, and family connections must yield to the demands of constitutional responsibility. The Crown operates according to traditions that have evolved over centuries, and those traditions frequently determine who stands at the center of attention and who remains firmly in the background. It is a system that can appear cold and impersonal, yet supporters argue that its rigidity protects the monarchy from favoritism and preserves the institution's credibility on the world stage. Critics, however, see it as an unforgiving structure that leaves little room for compassion or adaptation. Perhaps that is what makes these glittering banquets so fascinating. Beneath the polished silver and elegant speeches lies an intricate web of power, where status can be reinforced, alliances quietly acknowledged, and unspoken messages delivered without a single word being uttered. But if protocol ultimately decides who matters in the present, what happens when the future of the monarchy begins to change? For Queen Camilla, there may be an even more unsettling question looming on the horizon. When the reign inevitably changes hands, will her family's connection to the center of royal life endure? Or could the doors that once opened so easily begin to close forever? Let's unravel every detail. Camilla's biggest fear. For decades, Queen Camilla fought one of the most difficult battles in modern royal history. She endured relentless public criticism, survived intense media scrutiny, and gradually transformed herself from one of the monarchy's most controversial figures into the woman who would eventually wear the crown beside King Charles. But beneath the public image of confidence and acceptance lies a reality that few people discuss. Camilla's greatest challenge may not be securing her own place within the monarchy. It may be protecting what happens to her family once King Charles is no longer on the throne. Unlike the children of monarchs born into the royal bloodline, Camilla's son, Tom Parker Bowles, and daughter, Laura Lopes, exist outside the constitutional framework of the crown. They hold no royal titles, perform no official royal duties, and occupy no position within the line of succession. Their connection to the monarchy is entirely tied to their mother's marriage to the king. This distinction is crucial because royal influence often shifts dramatically with each new reign. While Camilla currently occupies one of the most visible positions within the institution, her role is ultimately dependent upon Charles's status as monarch. The moment the crown passes to Prince William, the entire structure surrounding Camilla inevitably changes. Many royal observers believe that William's reign will prioritize a streamlined monarchy focused on those directly connected to the line of succession. Under such a model, the institution would revolve around William, Catherine, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. Extended family members with no constitutional responsibilities could gradually fade into the background. For Camilla, this possibility presents a deeply personal dilemma. Like any mother, she would naturally want to ensure stability and security for her children. Yet the monarchy operates according to traditions that rarely bend to emotional considerations. Throughout its history, the institution has consistently prioritized continuity over individual preference. Even Tom Parker Bowles himself has acknowledged the reality of his position. Ahead of the coronation, he emphasized that he was not part of the royal family in an official sense. He described himself simply as the Queen's son, highlighting the clear boundary that separates private family relationships from constitutional roles. The coronation itself reflected this distinction. Although Camilla's family participated in the celebrations, their involvement remained limited. They attended as loved ones supporting a historic moment for their mother and grandmother, not as future representatives of the crown. The spotlight remained firmly fixed on the direct heirs whose destinies are intertwined with the monarchy's future. This reality raises fascinating questions about how power evolves within the royal family. Influence may appear permanent, but royal history repeatedly demonstrates that status can change with astonishing speed. Today's central figures can become tomorrow's distant relatives as new generations step forward to define the institution. And perhaps nowhere is this transition more intriguing than in the relationship between Prince William and Princess Anne. Could these two senior royals already share a quiet understanding about the future shape of the monarchy? Let's take a closer look. William and Anne's alliance. There are few figures within the royal family more respected for their unwavering dedication to duty than Princess Anne. For decades, she has built a reputation as the monarchy's most hard-working and disciplined member, carrying out hundreds of engagements each year with little interest in publicity or personal recognition. To Anne, being royal has never been about privilege, popularity, or expanding influence. It has always been about service to the crown. That same philosophy appears to align closely with Prince William's vision for the future monarchy. Although they belong to different generations, both have demonstrated a preference for a more focused institution centered around duty rather than status. It is an approach that prioritizes constitutional necessity over family connections, and one that could have significant implications for those on the margins of royal life. Throughout her lifetime, Anne has repeatedly shown that protocol takes precedence over personal relationships. She has never been known for bending rules to accommodate individual wishes, regardless of who is involved. Whether representing the monarchy at state occasions or navigating sensitive diplomatic events, Anne's commitment has remained remarkably consistent. The institution comes first. This attitude has earned her admiration from many royal supporters who believe the survival of the monarchy depends on maintaining clear boundaries. In a world where public trust can be fragile, Anne's steadfast adherence to tradition is often viewed as a stabilizing force. She represents continuity, discipline, and an understanding that the crown must stand above personal interests. Prince William appears to share a similar outlook. Reports over the years have suggested that he favors a slimmer monarchy, one focused primarily on those with direct constitutional responsibilities. Rather than expanding the number of working royals, The emphasis would be placed on efficiency, relevance, and preparing the next generation of heirs for public service. If this philosophy continues to shape the monarchy's future, it naturally raises questions about where other family members fit within that structure. Individuals connected to the royal family through marriage, rather than bloodline or succession, may find themselves increasingly distanced from the institution's core functions. For Queen Camilla's children, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes, this distinction is especially significant. They have never held official royal roles, nor have they sought to position themselves as working royals. Yet their mother's position as queen consort inevitably draws public attention to their place within the broader royal narrative. When viewed through the lens of William and Anne's shared commitment to duty, the message seems increasingly clear. The future monarchy may not be defined by expanding circles of influence or accommodating extended family members. Instead, it could be shaped by a return to the principles that have guided the institution for generations: service, restraint, and a firm understanding that royal status carries responsibilities that extend far beyond family ties. Princess Anne's one rule has always been simple: the crown comes before everyone. So what do you think about Princess Anne's decisive actions? Was she right to draw the line, or do you believe she went too far? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.